We see efficiency become a big problem when their scale reaches at least hundreds of databases and thousands of computing instances and resources in the cloud. In our cost to value approach, what we're looking at ultimately is just because something is used, it doesn't mean not necessarily it's worth it. So we try to attribute them into a particular business goal or business value.
In 2026, cloud computing is the backbone of every modern firm. Yet nearly a third of that investment is estimated to be wasteful or unutilized.
We see cloud not as art, but an engineering. So how we're doing that is ultimately when business tell the agent about what they want to build and what the business case is, we can actually recommend what are the fitting solutions for it.
This episode is brought to you by Katana, inventory software built for growing product brands. Once you're growing and adding sales channels to your list, Shopify, Amazon, wholesale, retail, inventory gets a lot trickier. Katana makes it easy for you and syncs your stock automatically across every channel and location, so your numbers are always accurate in real time. It cuts your manual work to almost zero without any of the setup overhead or cost of traditional ERP software. And you can try it for free. Just head to katanamrp.com and start your free plan today.
Hello everyone, this is Kripa Anand and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. Today we are tackling a $300 billion problem that is quietly draining enterprise budgets. In 2026, cloud computing is the backbone of every modern firm, yet nearly a third of that investment is estimated to be wasteful or unutilized. Joining us is Daniel Zhang, CEO of AfterData.ai. With over a decade of experience as a data architect and engineering leader, Daniel specializes in transforming misaligned teams and architecting scalable cloud solutions. Through his platform Telemetra, he helps organizations move from ordering a la carte to a highly efficient, value-driven cloud environment. So before further ado, let's welcome this very special guest. Daniel, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Kripa.
Now, Daniel, your research shows that about a third of what companies spend on cloud is essentially thrown away. So let's start the conversation by understanding from your perspective, why is it so hard for teams to identify and fix cloud waste?
Yes. So Kripa, to kind of set the stage a little bit, I think the context is very important. The scale of their cloud ecosystem is really what matters here.
Right.
So for most companies, what we're talking about is really we see efficiency become a big problem when their scale reaches at least hundreds of databases and thousands of computing instances and resources in the cloud. And for some of our clients, they have 10 times or even 100 times of that.
Right.
So that's a fairly large and complex ecosystem, right? And then to answer your question, I really think the most dominant reason is waste is just everywhere. And ultimately, we as industry leaders, we have become a little bit numb and used to it to a point where we're able to live with the fact that in order to drive progress, it's just going to generate some waste. And, one example I would say is, in contrast to that, say, obviously, most of us wants to keep our house clean. And for those of us that have kids, we like our kids to do well in school, right? But with house, we can see how messy it has become.
Right.
And with kids, we are able to assess how well or how badly they're doing by looking at their report cards. However, with cloud, the first challenge is there are no report cards for cloud efficiency. So that's where we actually come in with our customers. When we engage with them, one of the first steps what we do is to really form a baseline of where they're spending and where they're utilizing. And that really can tell them how big of a gap is it between what they're actually using in the cloud versus what they're actually paying. And to form that visibility is not an easy task. It is a lot of effort invested into observability, into seeing the millions and in some cases even billions of records of transactions that happens in their cloud. And then another equally important reason to that is really accountability. When we look at cloud waste, the first question I will ask is who within a company should be responsible for cloud waste? And when we look at a company structure, for example, IT teams and cloud infrastructure teams, they are the expert of cloud, right? However, their primary goal and their primary KPI is to keep everything running in the cloud reliably and all the time. It's not to generate cost savings.
Right.
And then when we look at finance team, they have every reason to care about the spend. However, in most cases, finance teams are one step removed from the day-to-day operation of the cloud, where it's actually needed for them to be able to drive change.
So, firstly, very well articulated. I loved how simply you've, put it across. And secondly, what you said, a report card for your cloud, right? This is such a unique concept because no one is talking about this right now.
Yeah.
This is such a timely conversation. From that perspective, I'd like now to touch upon from cost cutting to value driven, like where's that conversation going and how do you bridge that gap? So again, from your extensive experience, how does cost to value approach differ from simple cost cutting? Is it a mindset issue or anything else apart from that as well?
Yeah, it's both a mindset and more than a mindset. So when we look at cost cutting or existing solutions that does cost cutting, we think they took a pretty binary approach to it, where when they look at cloud resources, is either used or not used. For the things that are used, we're not going to touch it. For the things that are not used, we're going to try to shut them down or optimize it, right? I have to give credit, it is an effective approach. However, we have gone much further than just that binary approach. In our cost to value approach, what we're looking at ultimately is just because something is used, it doesn't mean not necessarily it's worth it. So really, when we look at all of those different resources span and transactions in the cloud, one of the things we do is we try to attribute them into a particular business goal or business value. And if we take a step back, what we're trying to form at the grand scheme of things is essentially an ROI heat map that can really, if we put that in front of our customers, they can very comfortably make rationales around, okay, what does some initiatives work and what are some initiatives that doesn't work? Yeah, so that's where we started. And, one thing I would say is we're very proud of our track record. And that's where the numbers earlier, what you're referring to, where it came from, is through our cost to value approach. Every customer we have engaged so far, our track record is 30% to 65% of cost savings in their cloud.
That's huge. I think prioritizing the projects that, as you mentioned, deliver real ROI rather than just cutting the cheapest line items is what separates high growth firms from the one who are merely surviving in the market. So great perspective there. To the business leaders watching, in 2026, your cloud environment should be an engine, not a mystery. If you are tired of getting a cloud bill that no one can explain, it's time to move towards Telemetra's triage model. AfterData.ai has a proven track record of finding 35% to 60% in cost savings for their clients. You don't have to sacrifice flexibility for simplicity. With their new AI cloud triage agent, you can give your teams a set menu for efficient options that keeps your budget in check while making your value soar. Don't forget to visit AfterData.ai for more such information. All right, we're going to take a quick break right here, but don't go anywhere. When we return, we'll dive into building a smarter cloud governance and how AI is reshaping resource management for modern businesses out there. Stay with us.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Welcome back to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Let's continue the conversation with Daniel Zhang as we explore sustainable cloud governance and the future of AI-powered cloud management. Next, I'd like to talk about the sustainable cloud governance.
Yeah.
So, how can organizations maintain, long-term cloud cost efficiency according to you?
Yeah, that's an equally important topic, Kripa. I think to answer to that, I think really there are two driving factors. One is if we look at effort, your effort of maintaining that has to be low, has to be very low. If you in order to maintain that efficiency, if your organization has to hire a lot of extra hands and extra people to run the governance, then to us, really, you're generating waste in another shape and form, right? So to that, to be able to lower that effort, you need automation. And specifically, we think an organization should try to achieve 90% or at least 80% of all the workflows and tasks that involves in maintaining that efficiency to be fully automated. So that's the first factor.
Okay.
And the second one, again, I think we're coming back to accountability, but in this case, the context is more a long-term accountability. So it's about instead of just making certain people accountable, how do you make entire business functions to be accountable? And that really goes into for senior leaders to look at their operating model,
Right.
whether you want to consider implementing chargeback and other more effective ways to make people accountable. And if you are implementing chargeback, have to make sure is implemented in an effective way, an accurate way, where it really makes business functions and IT functions really care about driving down the cost.
No, definitely. I agree with you. I think it is not about a single entity or an individual who is responsible for this. I think it is a collective effort. Embedding cost awareness directly into the team culture, and automated workflows, as you mentioned, it ensures that governance isn't a core or a task, right? But a default state of operation that is just happening in the team. Finally, now let's look at automating cloud management with AI agents. So, how will your AI agent transform cloud resource management?
Yes, Kripa. So, this connects to the last question we talked about. Really, I mentioned the key is automation. So for us, it's about putting AI agents in there to be able to enable further automation. And specifically right now, we are working with some of our customers in early deployments to put our AI agents in their production. And we're looking at fulfilling about 5 different use cases and workflows. And it ranges from being able to auto-manage their cloud instances and resources to being able to handle business requests, triage them, and being able to really enhance our existing algorithm to auto-attribute all of those resources to business value. And ultimately, I think our goal is we're trying to not just throw chatbots at our customers, but to implement real agentic workflows that can actually drive change.
Great. I think moving towards an autonomous, auto-managed resource model, it's the final step in ensuring that cloud investment and business value are perfectly aligned. So, Daniel, let's now look at simplifying cloud governance with structured models.
Yeah.
So, how does a standardized menu model improve cloud governance and efficiency for anyone who is involved in this?
Yes, Kripa. So first of all, to give credits when credits are due, we didn't came up with the idea ourselves. It's really originally from the CIOs of our customers that we work with. And but this is something we really align with. This is one vision we really think that makes a lot of sense. Because when we look at, for example, who has really standardized menus, one thing come to mind is fast food chains,
Yep.
right? And then they are very well known, whether you love it or hate it, they're very well known for being able to operate very efficiently at producing food. So from the first step of their customers ordering food and thinking about what to eat, to being able to cook the food, to even how they restock their ingredients, the whole process is optimized for efficiency. And I think that's one lesson for us in cloud engineering we can all learn from. There's a lot in our process where from business teams thinking about what they want to build in the cloud to how to build it to how do we manage it in the long run that we can learn from the processes and wisdom that fast food chains have implemented. Ultimately, Kripa, we see cloud not as art, but an engineering. So really, when it's an engineering, standardization is really the foundation for efficiency. Which, by the way, we talked about our AI agents.
Yeah.
One of the way to fulfill this vision is through our AI agent. I talked about the use case of being able to triage business requests.
Yes.
So how we're doing that is ultimately when business tell the agent about what they want to build and what the business case is, we can actually recommend what are the fitting solutions for it, instead of offering nearly an infinite number of combinations of different services and opportunities and optionalities.
Definitely. I think sacrificing a small amount of infinite flexibility for enormous operational simplicity is the ultimate shortcut to long-term profitability.
Yeah.
I'm loving this conversation, Daniel, and definitely I'd love for you to be back, hopefully, for a deeper discussion that we do the next. But
course.
today, before we let you go, if there's one final piece of advice that you have for our listeners today that you'd like to give to the founders, to the CEOs who are struggling with rising cloud costs, if you could whisper one thing into their ears, what would you say and why?
That's a good question. So, I obviously love to have those sweet conversations and understanding their struggles because everyone have a little bit different situations. But if I really boil it down into one piece of advice, I would say, Kripa, is really about you need to foster accountability. And when we look at, the history of business, really, when we put accountability into people, really we have solved some of the most challenging business problems or even human history by large, right? So accountability is really the key there. And also, if you guys want to do this fast, then please come talk to us.
Definitely. I was just about to ask you, if our audience wants to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Our website is www.AfterData.ai, and that would be the easiest way to reach us. But also, I guess I'll put my contact and my own personal email into the chat as well.
Definitely, this conversation today, Daniel, was a great reminder that the most advanced technology in the world can still benefit from the operational wisdom of a set menu. So thank you so much for doing this with us and being here with us. It was such a pleasure.
Yes, thank you for having me, Kripa.
All right, that was Daniel Zhang from AfterData.ai, a masterclass in cloud cost optimization, the cost to value assessment, and how to stop cloud waste from stalling your business growth in 2026. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more such resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And lastly, a very special thank you to our partners, UPS, our shipping partner, and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.